Rangers in many games. I mean, he's played well in Europe as well. I mean, the games against, the game against Juventus the other night, he made a double save early on, and I thought it was going to be his night. Played well away in Steaua Bucharest, where they lost 1-0. Fantastic goal to beat, shot to beat him. But I think in domestic football, he's been absolutely outstanding.
We saw this game, Charlie, didn't we? He was the difference in the end between Rangers and Celtic, wasn't he?
Yeah, McCoy's got the headline with the goal, but there was no denying it. Gorham that night was fantastic. He had 2 magnificent saves, and then just a couple of weeks later he denied Celtic again in league duty. He seems to be wearing these strange bandages in his knees, and everybody keeps thinking that he's not particularly mobile because he wears these, but the saves this guy's making is quite extraordinary.
You mentioned it on the night, didn't you, that maybe the knees weren't so good, but there was no sign of it, was there? He was climbing and snatching everything out of the air.
The only thing I see a little different from him that he's not doing as much is possibly coming for the cross balls. But when, I know Gough isn't playing tonight, when his defence is doing what they've been doing all season, he doesn't have to. But his saves that's kept Rangers in games has been so important.
Nice to know he's behind you, isn't it?
Yeah, he's one of the best shot stoppers you'll see, you know. He's not the biggest, but, you know, he spreads himself well. He's got a good pair of hands. And there'd be a lot of onus on him tonight without Richard Gough.
At the other end, of course, Michael Watt, who's keeping Theo Schnelders out of the side right now. He's had nightmares against Rangers in the past, Charlie.
Yeah.
Will that be on his mind tonight?
Maybe not, with Hateley not playing. Hateley's been crucifying this guy for the last few seasons. I think young Michael's problem was that he was always coming in for 2 or 3 games when Schnelders was injured. And then he was back out of the team, no matter how his form was going. So now he's got a few games under his belt, and his confidence must be growing. He's not always been the most confident of goalkeepers, probably because he's not always in the side, but I expect this guy to go on and stabilise his position. But all round a comfortable goalkeeper, an under-21 international, so he's been about.
And for a keeper, young, 24 is no age at all, is it?
No, it's young for a keeper, that's right, and I think not so much pressure on him tonight. I would expect people like Ingles and Smith in the central defensive roles to really help the kid out and really get him through this game.
And if Aberdeen are doing what Roy Aitken says they will, which is attacking, maybe there won't be too much necessity for their keeper this
You'll be
evening.
hoping for that, that's for sure.
That's Michael Watt, who keeps goal for Aberdeen tonight on what was earlier a very wet Hampden Park. But is it still raining? We can find out in a moment or so when we join Davy Probin, who can give us all the team news. Davy, is it still wet?
Well, thankfully the rain is off now, Richard. The main worry here about an hour ago was whether or not the drainage here at the National Stadium would cope with the rain that has fallen all day here in Glasgow. We have the teams, and 2 very attacking teams they appear to be. Roy Aitken, of course, considers that the strength of his side lies from midfield forward, and there's no doubt that he will have a real go tonight at a Rangers side that is seriously depleted by injuries. Let's then have a look at that Rangers side tonight. Before Saturday, of course, Walter Smith had already been without Charlie Miller, Brian Laudrup, and he lost Stuart McCall in the match against Juventus in Turin. Well, there was more bad news to follow on Saturday in the match against Hearts, because he was to lose David Robertson and Richard Gough. Robertson with a hamstring, Gough with a groin strain. Now, the changes in that Rangers side: Stephen Wright will come in and play at right back. Ali McCoist, as you can see, will partner Oleg Selenko up front, and John Brown, the veteran Rangers player, of course, he can play in either midfield or at the back. Out of the Rangers side, let's just confirm that: Richard Gough and David Robertson. The other change to Saturday's side, Alexei Mikhailichenko, who is on the bench tonight. Let's move on then to the Aberdeen side, and better news for them, because Roy Aitken just about able to field what he would consider to be a full-strength side. Fullback Colin Woodthorpe, of course, is out for 6 weeks. He broke a bone in his foot against Motherwell a fortnight ago. But that apart, all the news is good, and the most significant news for the Aberdeen supporters is that the Premier League's top scorer, Scott Booth, is back, and that means demotion for Duncan Shearer. He starts the match on the bench tonight. Now, Paul Bernard came into the Aberdeen side. He started a match for the first time against Partick Thistle on Saturday. He had to be reasonably patient before that, but he did get a start on Saturday, and he also managed to grab a goal, and Roy Aitken will look for him and Paul Bernard to be significant players for his side tonight. Well, they're the sides that will go head-to-head here at the National Stadium tonight, Richard. The prize for the winners, of course, a place in the Coca-Cola Cup final on November the 26th against either Dundee or Airdrie. For the moment, though, back to you.
Yes, Davey, thank you. That other semi tomorrow night. Reminder that this goes all the way this evening, extra time, and if we require them, then there will be penalties as well. But McCoist plays for Rangers. That's a real boost for them, and this is how much the bookies value him. He's favourite to get the opener tonight at 4-1. Salenko, his strike partner, 5-1. Dury, who's been in really good form of late, 6-1. Scott Booth of Aberdeen, 7-1. And Paul Gascoigne there, 8-1. Ian Jess at 12-1. I always like to look further back. Wright of Rangers, 50-1. And Stuart McKimmie of Aberdeen at 80-1 there. Paul Gascoigne back at the weekend. Rangers got 4 against Hearts. Has he settled up there now, Charlie?
Yes, he has. I think when he first came back into the Rangers side after his first injury early in the season, I think it took him maybe 3 or 4 matches to really get his sharpness. I think gradually the victories against Celtic certainly helped him. When he scores this goal, I mean, he's not even in the picture. He's no right to get this for a guy who's, I think, obviously been struggling since the start of the season with fitness, but he makes up tremendous ground. And that's the day that Rangers fans really confirmed he was going to be one of the real favourites. And since then, he's played particularly well. This was a good goal here. But in that game in particular, I think Gascoigne was outstanding against Motherwell that night, and I think he really showed his class.
You've done it, Nigel, an Englishman moving into Glasgow. What difficulties are you confronted with?
Well, I wasn't a high-profile player like Paul Gascoigne is. I think he's going to have problems off the park wherever he goes because the media want to know what he's doing every minute of the day. A bit like Charlie when he came down to London when he was at Arsenal. But I think
the difference was they could never find him, so it didn't matter so much.
But the thing is, for Paul, he's such a talented player. They just want him to do it on the park. They don't care what he does off the park, and I think that's the thing with Scottish people. They just want you to perform on the park. They don't care about your private life or anything. And I think Paul will go up there, do his best on the park, and hopefully stay there for a few seasons, win a few trophies, and go down as one of the best players to come out of England to play in Scotland.
You enjoyed it, didn't you?
I had a great time there. I mean, 3 successful years there. It's nothing better than playing for a club that's winning trophies and competing in like semi-finals of cups, finals of cups. And I think Paul, tonight will be wanting to play very well to get into his first cup final.
Let's have a look at Ian Jess. Midfield this season, Charlie. Yep. Is that a change that he's taken to comfortably enough?
Yes, he's taken it very well. I actually watched him very closely. In situations, he's getting forward a lot easier. He always seems to be facing the goal rather than his back to goal, which he was facing last year. And through his own admission, he says early in the season that he's struggled for the last 3 seasons, which is quite extraordinary when people are writing about this guy's potential. But he's thriving in this role. He's getting more time. He's starting to have power shots, as we see here. I watched him against Motherwell in the quarter-finals, and he was simply outstanding. Every time he got the ball, he ran at people, and he's doing this a lot more often now. And he's certainly back to his best. Exciting player.
I mean, you'll know the difference, Nigel, won't you? Running at goal as opposed to playing with your back to it. It does...
I don't run anywhere, Richard. You should know that. I don't know where the goals are. But I think it's interesting in just playing in midfield. I mean, he's not the quickest player, but he's got a good footballing brain. He picks up the ball, runs into good areas. And I think at Aberdeen, they've got so many strikers. I think it was maybe the best thing for him was to move back into that role, and I think he's thriving on it.
You say they've got so many strikers. Scott Booth back in the side, the top scorer at Pittodrie this season. Would he be Scotland's first choice striker right now, Charlie?
At the moment, yes. I think Craig Brown has already says Scott Booth and McCoist would be his ideal partnership when they're fit. But this kid is when I was playing at Aberdeen, the Booth and Jess were coming through the ranks, and Jess was the one they were all talking about. He's got a little bit more flair than Booth. But young Scott Booth loves scoring goals, and he does it ever so well. And the beauty of Scott Booth now is that Aberdeen rely so much on him, and that shows how much a mark he's made in that team.
One of the reasons that they had such an indifferent season last time round, because he was injured so often in the last campaign.
Yeah, well, they certainly missed him, although Duncan Shearer, to be honest, has been scoring a lot of goals when he's been playing. But they certainly missed this guy. I think that he just gives them that, as Roy said earlier, a little bit of extra pace up front. He's prepared to always take the gamble, near post runs, which you don't really see so much of now from a striker. This guy's prepared to do these near post runs, and he gets a lot of goals from that.
Well, there has to be a winner tonight, one way or the other. The other semi tomorrow night, of course. But who is going to the Coca-Cola Cup final, Nigel?
There's only one choice for me. I've got to go for Rangers. I think...
How, then?
How?
90 minutes, extra time,
yes,
penalties?
I think it'll be over in 90 minutes. I think most probably Super Ali will pop up with a goal to make sure Rangers go through.
He usually does, doesn't he? Charlie?
Yep. I think if Aberdeen score first, they'll go on and win it. But my head keeps telling me Rangers, unfortunately. But I think we're going to see a lot of goals here.
But that's how important the first goal is. You think if Aberdeen get it, they can win?
So. Yes, I think so. I said the same about Celtic and Rangers. First to score would win. But I think Aberdeen must go first because defensively, Rangers are the strongest, even without Gough.
Live football tonight from Sky Sports. Once again, Hampden Park, which happily has tried somewhat after a real battering today. Rangers against Aberdeen comes up next, live. Park. For the first of two Coca-Cola Cup semi-finals being played this week, we're live tonight with Rangers against Aberdeen. Super Sunday this weekend takes us to White Hart Lane. Spurs against the FA Carling Premiership leaders, Newcastle United. What a match that will be. And on Monday night, another chance to assess Arsenal's more recent progress against Bolton Wanderers, who are settling down now. Bolton against Arsenal is our live Monday night football. But it's to Hampden Park now. Our match commentators this evening, Terry Butcher and Jock Brown.
Good evening, Richard. Great anticipation here inside the stadium for what should be a terrific match, because these sides have met 6 times in 1987 and 1993 in the League Cup, Coca-Cola Cup as it is now, 4 times in the final, and every game really, Terry, has been a classic. You've played in some.
I've played in some classics. I've won quite a few and lost quite a few as well, but this is what it's all about, really. A nice, wet, windy, wild Hampden Park and a cup semi-final. So in the past, we've seen sendings off, we've seen goals, we've seen own goals, we've seen quite a few. So we're hopefully looking forward to a classic tonight.
Well, the stadium not completely full. That reflects the weather conditions this evening, but a very enthusiastic crowd still within the stadium nevertheless, and I'm sure both sides will get a terrific welcome. Aberdeen last season, Terry, despite the fact that they struggled and just avoided relegation, still managed to do some damage against Rangers. They had a draw, they had a win at Pittodrie, a draw also at Pittodrie, 2 narrow defeats. Can they do it again tonight?
I don't know, really. You never know in cup tie football. We've heard from David Proban that Richard Gough is not playing for Rangers. I think that'll be a massive boost to the Aberdeen team in that dressing room, knowing that the Rangers captain, who's on form and scored a couple of goals in the last few games, he's not playing. So they'll try and capitalise on a bit of indecision, a bit of inexperience of a new back three.
Well, it could be some morale problem for Rangers in the sense that they've lost, as I reckon, Laudrup, Gough, Robertson, Stephen, Charlie Miller, Ian Ferguson, Stuart McCall, and of course Mark Hateley has just gone. Does that not surely have some disruptive effect?
Yeah, obviously when you lose players of that calibre, although Paul Gascoigne is back, the absence of these internationals and great superstars really, does give other people a chance, like the Craig Moores, the Alec Cleland, especially Alec Cleland, who's come into the side and done well, as we saw in the game at Celtic Park. You know, he comes on leaps and bounds when it comes to the big occasion. He's growing in stature. As players who have had to fill in through the injuries to these players have come in and have done well.
From the Aberdeen point of view, they have a big travelling contingent down this evening for this match, travelling in some kind of hope, I think, perhaps even some expectation in view of performances this season. Now, their problem this season has been losing goals. They've had no real difficulties scoring them. That could be fatal against Rangers, surely.
It could be. I think if they go a goal down to Rangers, then they really do have their backs up against the wall. I think if they do go ahead, then they really do have a good chance of going all the way. The Aberdeen fans especially, and they've come down in their thousands again, in very, very difficult conditions, will probably see it as their best chance to beat Rangers in a semi-final.
Well, these supporters certainly will believe that without any question. It's a long way down from the granite city of Aberdeen, but they're here full of enthusiasm and all set for what should be another classic occasion. The playing surface very wet. The forking of the turf has gone on for a long time before the match. What kind of effect might that have on the performance tonight?
Well, I think it'll make it very skiddy, it'll make it very slippy for the players. We're bound to see mistakes, we're bound to see a lot of ricochets and errors from players slipping over, but it should add to the passing. I mean, both teams like to pass the ball, both teams have players that are very comfortable on the ball, both receiving and giving the ball away. So I think it'll add to a really good game. I always liked the playing conditions where it was wet and slippery, probably because I could slide in from 20 yards away and bring people down, but people like Charlie Nicholas when I was playing against him. But you know, it's nice when you've got a slippery surface because the ball zips over the surface quite well, and you know, you can really ping passes into your strikers. And you know, once the ball's played alongside a striker, it's very difficult for defenders to win the ball without pulling that striker down.
Well, I've just seen the players waiting in the tunnel there. What's the feeling like among players at this particular time, Terry?
Well, the usual, first of all, you've got to try and negotiate those terrible steps to come down from the dressing rooms. I slipped down there a couple of times, nearly knocked myself out before the game, but the players are taking it quite steady, and Hugh Dallas there ready to lead the teams out. Everybody's quite happy, everybody's looking forward to it. The nerves are really left behind in the change rooms now. You just come out now and listen to the roar.
And Ali McCoist leading out Rangers, captain for the night in the absence of Richard Gough. So some tense looks there on the faces of the players as they emerge. Well, they've had a terrific reception. So the team's now lining up in the centre, greeting both sets of supporters. And breaking at each end of the pitch, Rangers breaking there. And to the west end of the ground to prepare their build-up, and there's confirmation of that team, which has had to be changed because of the absence of David Robertson and Richard Gough, both injured at the weekend, adding to that dreadful casualty list. Nevertheless, there are 9 full internationals in that starting lineup. Only John Brown and Alec Cleland have not worn their country's colours.
Well, it's very difficult to see how Rangers will line up. I mean, they have players that can play in different positions. This is how we think they probably will line up, with Cleland going to left back, where he's done so well for them. Stephen Wright to right back in his accustomed role. Craig Moore comes in as he did against Juventus alongside Petric, though McLaren's there this time. But with a 3-man midfield and with 2 men up front, Rangers really have a very attacking side.
So that may be the Rangers lineup. Aberdeen, though, almost at full strength. The only real absentee that may well have played tonight might have been Colin Woodthorpe, who might well have played at left back had he been fit. But he is missing through injury. Stephen Glass showing his versatility, dropping back into that left back position, and Paul Bernard starting only his second game in Aberdeen colours.
Yeah, we think they'll split up a little bit like this, really, with a 3-man midfield, and here we go into the midfield. 4-man midfield, really, with Miller on the left-hand side, Booth and Dodds up front, Duncan Shearer unfortunately on the bench.
So referee Hugh Dallas from Motherwell prepares to get the game underway. One of the most highly rated young officials in the country on the FIFA list. He's now satisfied that all the formalities have been completed. It will be Aberdeen to kick off. The number 10 huddled over the ball is Billy Dodds. So the semi-final of the Coca-Cola Cup is underway, and Aberdeen trying to get forward instantly from the kick-off. There's Alan McLaren in that advanced position. He's pushed forward clearly to look after Ian Jess in midfield. Gordon Jury starting the match wide on the left. McCoist inside, a shooting chance perhaps. Good effort from McCoist. Space opened up there in the Aberdeen defence, and McCoist almost took full advantage.
Great play by Gordon Jury on the left-hand side. Good ball into Alan McCoist. Just gets his feet right here, falling back. And that ball really, we were right behind the flight of that ball. There's only inches away from Michael Watt's left-hand post. Great start by Alan McCoist.
So John Brown's header. Stephen Wright has started the match at left back with Alec Cleland at right back. And here's Salenko putting pressure on Michael Watt. Well, Michael Watt has a record tonight. This is his 8th consecutive match. It's the first time he's done that in Aberdeen's colours. He's played 7 times in a row on 2 occasions before this, but this is a big moment for him, establishing himself as first choice ahead of Pearce-Niles.
Well, it's quite interesting to see from up here what about cloud level we are at Glasgow at the moment. That's Rangers formation. Stephen Wright's gone to left back. They have a 3 at the back of Gordon Petric, John Brown and Craig Moore. On the right back position is Alec Cleland, as we see with the ball now. In midfield, it's Alan McLaren pushed forward, as he has done for Scotland in quite a few occasions, partnering Gaza. Gordon Jury on the left-hand side, following that great run, and then we've got up front McCoist and Salenko. So bit of a different turn-up for the books from a formation point of view from Rangers.
Well, these Rangers players lending themselves to all sorts of possible formations. Here's Alec Cleland trying to make headway, and halted very well indeed there by McKimmie. So alterations also in the Aberdeen tactical setup. They've switched McKimmie across there. He's challenging Salenko carefully as Gary Smith clears. Played forward there by Stephen Glass. So Brian Grant has started the match, Terry, at right back.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tactical chess match really from both managers. I think just trying to impose their own game plan onto the opponents. But so far, Rangers have started well, had a good chance from Ali McCoist, and have got deep into Aberdeen territory right from the word go.
So determination, I think, on the part of Roy Aitken to keep that midfield formation the same. He has Miller, Bernard, Jess and Glass across the middle. Grant at right back, McKimmie at left back, Ingles and Smith the centre backs. Booth and Dodds, of course, up front. There's McKimmie. John Brown. Tidying up at the back. Selling a dummy there to Billy Dodds, which the Rangers fans enjoyed. Well, he's proved to be a terrific servant to Rangers. He's joining from Dundee in 1988. Now 33 years old, player coach. Bernard did well. There's Jess. Here's Ingles. Claren backtracking there, looking after Jess. Jury's header. There's Gascoigne, involved now for just about the first time in the match. Trying to go past Bernard. Now Stephen Wright, former Aberdeen player, of course. Grant's clearance. This is Booth. A bit careless there, asking a lot of Joe Miller, allowing Goran Petric to make the challenge. Bit of wrestling there between Dodds and Petric, and the free kick goes to Rangers. Roy Aitken off his seat in the dugout there, complaining on the track, directing some advice to referee Dallas. There's Gascoigne. Moore playing it forward. Salenko's come off his marker, which he does so well. He's been brought down, and Rangers have a free kick. Joe McLaren over the ball. Gascoigne wants to take over. The last time Gascoigne played at Hampden Park was in 1989 as a substitute for England against Scotland. On for the last 10 minutes. Ball skidding through there to Michael Watt.
Joe, what was the final score in that game, by the way?
Can't remember at all, Terry. Rumour has it England won by 2-0. And Stuart McKimmie, incidentally, made his debut for Scotland on that occasion.
Poor lad, really, poor lad.
36 times in all, so it didn't do him too much harm. That's great play by Gascoigne. Passing a bit light towards McCoist. There's Jess. Now Miller. Bernard inside. Over on the far side, McKimmie calling for the ball. Captain. Great servant to Aberdeen. 12 years he's been at Pittodrie and trying to test Andy Gordon from long range. Certainly not a prolific goal scorer, Stuart McKimmie.
Well, he's still not very prolific with this shot, but he must have heard that he was 80-1. We saw the odds before the game. He was 80-1 to score. Well worth a poke, because you never know in this windy and wet conditions the ball's good off the pitch or anything else. He comes inside there, one thing on his mind, he's going to have a crack. That's not too bad. Perhaps it's just a target.
Stephen Wright breaking on the left for Rangers. Backtracked very effectively by Joe Miller. So the throw will go to Aberdeen. Right at the corner flag. Ryan Grant being waved back. Another long-serving Aberdeen player. He's been 11 years there since signing from Stirling Albion. Just £50,000. Turned away by Brown. Well, it's remarkable to think of the changing face of football. 2 years ago, these two sides met in the 4th round of the Cup. And no Rangers player on the field tonight played in the match. Only 4 Aberdeen survivors. Booth and Jess, survivors. And McKimmie and Gary Smith. No Rangers player playing this evening on the pitch, which is a really remarkable turnaround. Here's Gordon Jury. Good close control, is away from Ingles. Ingles thinking to his task very well indeed. Has a poor clearance. Chance for McCoist. Well, John Ingles wasting some very good defensive work there. Giving a chance to McCoist in the end via Salenko.
Oh, great play once again by Gordon Jury. Thought he'd taken it a bit too far here. John Ingles does well. And his rash clearance really strikes Salenko, goes straight to Andy McCoist, and had that bit on Andy McCoist's right foot. think that would have been 1-0 Rangers.
There's a problem here for Paul Gascoigne. Paul Gascoigne is being spoken to by referee Dallas. Now the reason for that is a very angry exchange of words initiated by Gascoigne with Ian Jess. The referee Dallas conveying the message quite clearly that's not required. Now Jess didn't appear to be involved at all, but he certainly upset Gascoigne in some particular way. Throw given again to Aberdeen. Here's Gascoigne. The lay off from Salenko. Jury to right. Petric remaining in the marking role. John Brown is a spare man at the back in the Goff position. Missed by Dodds and by Brown. That's Petric tidying up. Craig Moore goes across. Now McCoist. Nimble play coming inside. A little bit short the pass from McLaren. Giving Craig Morrison what to do. Petric to Brown. Harley back to Andy Goram. Well, it's a match which is likely to produce goals. Aberdeen have failed to score only once this season in their competitive matches. 12 competitive matches, they've only failed against Rangers of Pittodrie when they played extremely well. Apart from that, they have the highest average of goals scored among Premier Division sides this season so far. Under 2.2 per match. Clearance there by Michael Watt. There's no offside flag there against Gordon Jury because he was not involved in active play in the new FIFA terminology. John Brown's clearance. Grant plays it back. Last with the header. There's Alec Cleland. McCoist breaking. He's been very lively at the start, having missed out on Saturday's match against Hearts. And Gordon Jury scored in his position up front. Dangerous play against Billy Dawes, lifting his boot too high against John Brown. Well, the referee having words now with Alan McLaren, taking that free kick. Well, the ball was on the move too quickly.
There he goes, John Brown. You just see Billy Dodd's feet just a little bit too high, the referee right on the spot. Just trying to calm things down a little bit, just trying to, Paul Gascoigne in particular, several Aberdeen players, Rangers players, just getting a little bit too hot under the collar.
Headed back by Paul Bernard. So the settling in process continuing in the match. Headed away by Moore. That's on the front, he's headed on. Salenko chases. Now Gary Smith, one of those 4 survivors from 2 years ago. Different position he played, I think, on occasion. He was at left back, as I recall. Throw this time to Rangers. Well, Terry, has the Rangers adjusted formation settled, do you think?
Yes, it has. I mean, both teams are trying to play football. Both teams are trying to get the ball down and make some passes. Aberdeen haven't quite got out of their half yet, but apart from Gordon Jury's 2 runs down the left-hand side, Rangers really haven't strung that many passes together. But I think Watt will be quite pleased with the way Rangers have settled into a new formation, a new system really, with Gordon Jury on the left-hand side. But they look the more the team to really get things going.
Petric looking a little bit casual there, has to recover. Jury's layoff. Salenko showing strength. Jury has the pace. John Ingles very quick also. An appeal by Gordon Jury, but really, I don't think much substance to that. He turned inside John Ingles, who matched him very well for pace in that run. Well, Jury looks aggrieved. Here's why.
Yeah, I thought he could have got in